Alrighties. Hello. Sorry for technical issues. Oh my goodness, I got delayed again. It's always an occurrence. But it's 12:02 a.m. It's 4:20. Oh boy. So I was planning to start around 11:45. Then I had camera issues again. Now the camera is working, and so yes, you can become a hero also. So I have the shirt here. Oh, here it is. So who knows? I'm not sure if I'm going to cosplay Deku, but I do cosplay some of his classmates. So anyway, all right. So I know today. Well, technically now it's a Wednesday, 12:03 a.m. Oops, 4:20. Yes, I know. Some of you who are watching live in like Chicago, for example, or if you're in LA, it's still Tuesday. So this is not my regular streaming schedule. Okay, I guess this is a makeup for Sunday night. Sunday night, I was exhausted. I had an Easter gathering and I was wearing a mask. So, you know, and I hope you all had a happy Easter. Okay, so I'm also gonna so what I'm gonna do is the confusion is so fresh when it comes to the masks. So I'm actually gonna talk about it. All right, and this is all preliminary information. Anything can change. All right, I repeat, anything can change. So let's get right into it. Here we Is it showing up? There we go. Okay. This is how I see the mask thing, okay? So if you do see my stories on Instagram, I did it with Kakashi over here. So Kakashi with the mask or without the mask. This is me over here as Giyu with the mask. This is my friend Rodney as Rengoku with the mask. Then there's some guy here who cut off it looks like an N95 mask and just cut it open, which I don't know if this person's trying to make a statement, but I don't know. Maybe it's a new fashion trend. Who knows? Okay, but I will say that's not how you wear a mask. Okay. Maybe if there's a covering in there somewhere, if the person put the covering here, maybe it's a plastic covering or whatnot, that would be great. That would be helpful, especially for those I think who are deaf who can read through the mouth moving. So anyway, so the main thing about it will be the mask. I'm also after the mask part. I'm actually going to talk about a little update. I actually have to make a correction on one of the vaccines here, on the COVID vaccination. So, I remember I think in one of the streams I said fifth dose. There is no fifth dose yet, but I'll go into that in a little after I talk about the masks. Okay, so yeah, let that sink in with this pictures. I love pictures. But anyway, you know, I'm gonna. This is. I'll try to make it as clear as I can. But again, anything can change. So just be on the lookout. Okay, just I'm warning you about that. All right. So okay. So this is from COVID Act Now. So reason why I bring this up is because of the fact that there's still a fight over like mask versus no mask, and I do have to say, sorry to say, I'm more of a mask mandate person. Okay, unless of course you are under 2 years of age. All right, and I don't know how people would say mask doesn't work. If you use masks properly, they work. I Unless if I'm alone, like right now, I'm alone in my own room. That's fine. That's why you don't see me wear a mask. When I go out, I remember back in 2020 when we didn't know about COVID, we wore a mask outside. Now, when there is allergy season, I wear a mask. because now every people are suffering with the allergies. So covering a mask, at least you get less exposure to all the pollen and the dust and whatnot. And in the subways, even though I've seen a gradual decrease of people using masks, less people using it. I'll explain for at least for New York City subway. Just a hint: masks are still required in the New York City subway. So, but I'll go more into detail. So I see like a little bit downwards. The thing is, in New York City subway, COVID is one of many, 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 many things to worry about. There's of course stinkiness, so stinky people, stinky bo, someone taking a number 2 or number 1, and all the different infections, bacteria, viral, doesn't matter, and all the dust and whatnot. That's the New York City subway for you. So that's why it's important to wear a mask in New York City subway. But if you don't, number one, I will social distance from you as far as I can. All right. Number two, it's on you. All right. Whether they're enforcing it, I don't see a lot of enforcement, but there's only so much people can do. But anyway, so reason why I show this, I have to show cases, okay? Because cases are the first signs of where, if hospitalizations are going to go up, if deaths are going to go up, etc. That being said, since we're still in a pandemic, right now the dominant variant, so to speak, is the Omicron variant, but specifically the subvariant BA2. All right, so the good news about BA2 is that even though it's more transmissible, there are, in terms of percentage, there are less hospitalizations and less deaths. Here's one little kicker here. The more transmissible it gets, even if the percentage is low, just with ratios, there's still going to be a lot of hospitalizations and deaths. Now, at this point, I'm not seeing a lot of it, but in the future, especially when you see cases going that high, and that's what we're seeing with New York State and the New York City metro area. So that includes the 5 boroughs plus Long Island. The New York City metro area is the tri-state area, so I'll use that interchangeably. So that is in Long Island, northern part of Jersey, southwestern part of Connecticut, the southern part of New York. So that's like the lower Hudson Valley. So those are part of that. So the cases are going high, and it tends to be the case simply because it's very densely populated. How do you social distance with this? Again, that's why masks are important. And I'm actually going to show a slide about with New York City cases going up in terms of positivity rates. So in the past 60 days, it's going up. United States is slowly getting there, but not as fast as the New York City or New York State in general. And by the way, this is cases per 100,000. This is capita. This is actually more accurate rather than just saying, okay, how many cases there are. Not to say that just counting amount of cases is important, but it paints a much clearer picture. All right. When you have, for example, 1,000 people infected in a population of 100,000 people versus 1,000 people infected in a population of 1,000,000 people, the percentages are different tenfold between 1 million, a population of 1 million people, and a population of 100,000 people. You can have the same 1,000 people being infected and then have it as cases, but per capita, okay, the one with 1,000,000 people, it will have a cases per 100,000, 1/10 of the population that has 100,000 people, but again with the same amount of cases. I'll give you another example. So, and let's say 1,000 people, um, yeah, let's say 1,000 people died, right? And 1,000 people died in out of 100,000 people in a population. That's a 1% death rate. If it's 1,000 people who died, same number, and it's in a population of 1 million people, death rate would be about 0.1%. Big difference. All right, so I just want you to just keep that in mind. All right, so given that it's densely populated, it's easier for the virus to spread, especially if you're not masked, if you're not socially distant, if you're not vaccinated. You could get, if you're not immune, get if you didn't develop that immunity, you know you're at a higher risk of getting COVID. All right. And what I'm pretty upset about is how people get really complacent about it just because, you know, things get milder. It doesn't mean you let your guard down. You don't just say, okay, if it's less severe, that doesn't mean you don't go to hospital. Okay. There's still a chance, even though it's lower. I need you to understand that you still take this seriously, okay? And also know that we've learned a lot in the past 2 years. So this is not April of 2020. All right, we are in April 2022. All right, and we've learned a lot since then in that period of time. And we have vaccines now. We have treatments now. We have Paxlovid, Paxlovid from Pfizer, and then there's molnupiravir, all right, from Merck. So those are the two that are the more common ones. We have monoclonal antibodies, and that's in addition to taking a acetaminophen or Tylenol, or in some countries they call it paracetamol. Okay, you can use that. Also drink with vitamins, and also things that will help you boost your immunity. So that, even though that before pandemic and before the COVID pandemic, again, we know a lot more now. We have tools available compared to 2 years ago. All right, 2 years ago we were thinking of hydroxychloroquine. Now we learned that there is no statistical significance in terms of helping with treating COVID versus placebo. All right. So again, hydroxychloroquine has its place in therapy, but in other things, not so much with COVID. All right. Anyway, so just as a summary here, that just letting you know that even though U.S. is kind of low, the reason why you'll get confusing why there's mass going on, especially in New York City area, is because there is a jump in the cases in the past 60 days, or recently. So, all right, so this is just plain cases. All right, so for some reason I couldn't find the cases per 100,000. Actually, it's actually over here. So we're gonna look at New York State. So this here, so it's going up. It's also going up. This is just cases in terms of the number. All right, so it's, again, I'm not mincing anything, okay? And these are from reputable sources, all right? And this is what I'm seeing as well. What other what the government officials and government health officials are seeing. So New York City indicators. So as I've said before, cases are the early indicators that will determine what's going to happen in the future. Hospitalized rates and death rates are lagging indicators. So far it looks like hospitalized and deaths are low. That's good, at least for New York City. Okay, in terms of cases and cases per capita. Actually, you can go interchangeably. Cases per capita gives a better picture. The cases are slowly getting up. So that's why, Mayor Adams is actually considering trying to bring back the indoor mask mandates. Remember, indoor mask mandates, okay? So, and also, the key to NYC thing. That's the vaccine mandate. It was lifted just, I think it was a month ago. I forget, but it's been weeks since then. All right, and also just want to let you know, just because a mandate's lifted, that doesn't mean you tell a restaurant, oh, you're not supposed to enforce this. Just because the mandate is lifted doesn't mean that the restaurant cannot enforce it. It's actually optional. It's a decision for businesses or restaurants, or if it's your personal decision to wear a mask, or to enforce the proof of vaccination requirement. All right. Also, I'm going to talk about a little bit. Philadelphia, as of yesterday, has reinstated its indoor mask policy. All right. But SEPTA, the transportation system, with its subway. Hey, DJ Nikki, thank you for stopping by and thank you for modding. Okay. So I'm actually talking about the cases. Yes, thank you for lurking. I appreciate it. Whether you're watching or lurking, thank you so much. I'm trying not to be ranty. I'm trying to be as impartial as I can. I'm trying to understand all sides, so to speak, but the main sides are those who are pro-mask, myself included, and then those who are pretty anti-mask. I'm trying here. I'm trying to be as factual, impartial as I can. It's not very easy because the people who really know me, I'm one of those where, if the cases are too high enough, I still require a mask mandate. Okay, so again, even though the cases are going up, you see hospitalizations and deaths are still kind of low. Please don't be complacent because BA2, this Omicron subvariant, it's more transmissible, even if with the percentage of deaths and hospitalizations stay the same, it still increases simply because there's an increase of transmission. If that makes sense. I know there's a lot of math to it, but as my mod DJ Nikki Zen always says, always stay healthy and safe. All right, and that's why I say this all the time before I end my stream, and I will emphasize this. I cannot emphasize this enough. So, wait. The next thing is, this is from Channel 11. This is what I found out. I believe this data is also from the DOH, New York City Department of Health. Okay, so this is the 7-day average for percent positivity. All right, I'm seeing high cases in Manhattan. So also, Lincoln Square is actually this area. It's on the lower west part. It's west of Central Park, but it's on the southwestern part. Not in Central Park, but to the west of it, right over here, where Lincoln Center is. And financial districts all the way down here where the World Trade Center is. So you see, but it's kind of expected simply because Manhattan is densely populated, and of course, the mask mandates the restrictions are getting looser and looser. Staten Island gotta watch out. As I said, Manhattan you gotta watch out. Northwestern Bronx. Okay, Northern Queens, Western Brooklyn. Okay, the parts of the Rockaways. So something to watch out there. All right. Also, here's the crux of this. This is the main thing. This is the main thing people are confused about. So this is the summary that I'm seeing. And people are confused. I'm a little confused, but that's why I do these things to not only for myself but also to help others. Try to clear and untangle all this confusion. All right. So this is how I see it. In the five boroughs of the New York City area, in terms of public transit mask mandate, masks are required. But outside, masks are optional. But it depends on the agency or local government. As I said earlier, Philadelphia indoor mask mandate was reinstated as of yesterday. Yet SEPTA, the ones that runs Philadelphia Subway and the commuter rails in Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia and its suburbs, masks are optional. So, and you'll hear me say this over and over again. If you're not sure, you always want to go for the most stringent. So, if you're not sure, mask up, just to be safe, right? And also, so you want to do your best to avoid getting exposed to COVID. Also, wear your mask properly. So you gotta cover your nose and your mouth, okay? Not like this. All right. Okay. So just as a refresher, in case you forget, here are the general rules for it. A lot of it they make sense, right? If you're not feeling well, very obvious. I was taking the bus earlier this morning. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was yesterday morning. It sounds like my days get a little fused a little bit. All right. There was a person not wearing a mask, and the person was coughing almost nonstop, not covering her mouth. Okay, at least I was behind her and I was more than 6 feet away in the bus, and I was wearing my mask. But like, if you're not feeling well, a lot of times it's better to stay home and get some rest. All right, and also get tested. All right, if you're at indoor public places, especially socially distancing, regardless of your vaccination status, it's important to wear a mask. I know in some parts of the country, the rules have been lax a bit. It's your decision. All right, but I still strongly encourage wearing masks, especially indoors in public places. All right. Next thing is in healthcare settings, you gotta wear a mask. Okay, especially if you work in a hospital when you're dealing with COVID patients, or if you're dealing with people at high risk of COVID. Okay, certain occupations, and those are usually the ones where you deal when you have or in occupations where it's public facing, basically, where you actually have to help a patient or help a customer, face to face. So if you're taking care of someone who is exposed with COVID, who's COVID positive, or who's suspected of COVID, wear a mask. So if you got COVID, if you think you have COVID, if you suspect to have COVID, if you have symptoms, or whether you have symptoms or not, if you think you have a recent exposure, or if you think you got in close contact, wear a mask just to be safe. And then also the most recent quarantines, if you come out of quarantine, wear a mask just to be safe. And I believe it was for 5 days. Things keep changing. So if you're high risk of COVID, if you're dealing with the elderly, if you are elderly, if you're immunocompromised, if you have pre-existing conditions, so anything. So if you're like a cancer patient, if you're a organ transplant recipient, if you have respiratory related illnesses such as asthma. I have asthma, COPD. I don't have COPD, but a lot of them who have COPD, they have a history of smoking, for example. If you have cardiovascular related issues, if you have blood related disorders, so cardiovascular, if you have history of high blood pressure, if you have a history of heart failure, a heart attack, or stroke, If you have, if you're at risk of having clots, if you're taking blood thinners, for example, so you're at high risk of COVID. Also, in dense or large crowds, doesn't matter whether it's indoors or outdoors, you have to wear a mask, especially when it's very hard to social distance. Okay? Now, indoors, as I said before, I strongly encourage you wear a mask. If you're outdoors and you're distanced, at least 6 feet, and you're not coughing or sneezing in their faces, okay, masks are optional. So you don't need to wear a mask. It's allergy season. I still wear a mask anyway. All right. So, to mask or not to mask, that is a question. And that's actually a lot of info for the past 2 days for compare it for yesterday and today. But again, things can change. We're going to talk about masks required. And this is as of April 19th, 2022. All right, when I did my COVID monitoring. So public transit in New York City, which I'll go into in a bit. I mean, you'll see it there already. So public transit in New York City, Los Angeles and San Francisco so far. All right. So I'm gonna break it down with New York City because I handle mostly with the New York City folks. So the subway and buses, masks are still required. I still see people not wearing masks. So help me God. NYC ferry, you have to wear a mask. Okay, taxis, Ubers, Lyfts, livery cars, ride shares. I don't know about Via, but I have to check on that one. But taxis, Uber, Lyft, you have to wear a mask if it's in the New York City area. Metro North, Long Island Railroad, and PATH trains, those are commuter rails because they connect with the city and the suburbs. That requires masks. JFK and LaGuardia airports require masks. Greyhound buses still require masks. And as I stated earlier, Philadelphia indoors. So, with one exception, SEPTA. All right, so it's required to wear a mask. Philadelphia's cases are going up. So, so that's why the mayor has reinstated it yesterday. I know, that's a lot. So masks are the following are masks are the ones that are optional, but you always have to check prior because things can change, right? Especially if you're going from the U.S. to another country, right? Yeah, so that's something to pay attention to. New Jersey Transit masks are optional. Amtrak, most buses, Megabus is included. I just got the email earlier today. Most airports, masks are optional. Most airlines, and then as I said, if it's international, check with destination. Also, you can check with the CDC and check with the different COVID levels. So obviously, the higher the COVID level, you have to wear a mask, okay, for your safety. The other thing is, last time I checked for Canada, you still have for transportation, you still have to wear a mask. Okay, last time I checked. As I said, SEPTA's masks are optional. The WMATA, that's the transit system. That's Washington Metro. I forgot. Oh darn! I forgot what the. Let me see. I keep forgetting that this is Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority. Okay, got it. The WMATA. So this one here, the masks are optional. Taxis, Uber, and Lyft outside New York City, masks are optional. And also New York Waterway. So if you're confused, I understand. If you're not sure, wear a mask just in case. All right. So preferably N95 or the surgical ones. And when you're outside, you can take it out. Okay, just be careful with the allergies because I heard allergy season's really bad. And I'll be right back. I need to use the restroom. See you in a bit. Don't worry. I'll be back. I just have to use the bathroom. All right, let's see. All right, I'm back. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so I know I'm going over this again, so I actually have to do just a little reminder, a little refresher, and also a little correction here. So this one, this is still the same for the time being. Okay, so Pfizer or Comirnaty vaccines, so it's 2 doses, 3 weeks apart. So we're still waiting for information in regards for those who are age 6 months to under age 5 years of age. So far, 3 doses is going to be the primary series. Okay, reason being is because age 2 to 4, immunity is not adequate with 2 doses. So we're still waiting for info and waiting for data, so to speak, from the 3rd doses. Okay, which is part of the primary series. The 3rd dose in this case would not be a booster for the for this age range, ages 6 months to age 5 years. Moderna is still 18 and up for 2 doses, 4 weeks apart. Okay, and Johnson, it's 1 dose, kind of, not really. So, which I will talk about in a little bit. Okay, so COVID booster update. I don't know if it's gonna be 4-1 or something like that, but I have to be very careful with this, so I'm gonna give you an update. So if you started with Pfizer, so far it's like when in doubt, Pfizer. Ages 18 and up, so it's 1 dose of any three at least 5 months after the 2nd dose. So for ages 12 to 17, all three have to be Pfizer. So, and then also they're doing the same schedules proposed for those ages 5 to 11. So I believe Pfizer is working on trying to get an emergency use authorization for the booster for those ages 5 to 11. And it'll be the same dose as the previous 2 doses. It's just that it would be about 5 to 6 months after the 2nd dose. But just because, so boosters are still not approved yet. So just letting you know, under age 11, actually, it's for those for those age 11 and under. Oops, I should have put that there. So boosters. So far, we have boosters for those 12 and up. Okay, that's it. All right, we don't have boosters approved yet for those ages 11 and under. Okay, but again, there's a proposal for those ages 5 to 11 where Pfizer did a study and they said that the boosters are efficacious against it brings the antibodies up by about, I believe it was 37 times if I'm not mistaken. And again, we're still waiting for news about that. If you started with Moderna, age 18 up, you can do 1 dose of any three at least 5 months after the 2nd dose. All right, originally was 6 months. You can be flexible about it. The only issue is that the longer you wait, the more you're at risk. So be careful with that. If you start with Johnson, so it's only 18 up for the time being. 1 dose of any three at least 2 months after the initial dose. Johnson is considered second line, but it's still an option available. It's still an option. All right. Also, the 2nd dose or the 4th dose. This is Pfizer or Moderna only. All right. And this one is ages 50 and up only, at least 4 months after the first booster, the 3rd dose. I don't know if I talked about this, but Governor Kathy Hochul of New York got one of each. First, it was Johnson & Johnson. Then about 2 months later, got Moderna. And then 4 months after Moderna, got Pfizer. So you can do that. It's still safe. All right. So if you can do between, if you can go in between, like interchangeably, if you go from Johnson & Johnson to an mRNA vaccine, or if you go from the primary series of the mRNA vaccine then to a Johnson Johnson. Either way, you will get your immunity. It's just that for the fourth dose or the second booster, whichever it is, okay, for now it's either Pfizer or Moderna. So any of the either of the mRNA vaccines. All right, and this is the booster update for moderately or severely immunocompromised. By the way, there are no fifth doses, just to make it very clear. So I just want to say for those 18 and up, it's one dose of Moderna or Pfizer at least 28 days after second shot. All right. And for ages 5 to 12, it's all three shots, same timing as adults. For ages 12 and up, it's the fourth dose at least 3 months after the third dose. So Pfizer's age 12 and up, Moderna's age 18 and up. Okay, very important. And if it's Johnson Johnson, this is only ages 18 and up only. First dose is Johnson Johnson, of course. Your second dose would be Pfizer Moderna for at least 4 weeks after the first dose, and third dose is Pfizer/Moderna at least 2 months after the second dose. I just want to make that very clear. What I also want to make very clear is this. So this is why we still have to mask up for the time being. The pandemic isn't over yet. This is not the worst yet, but like we want to be prepared. Okay, that's why it's important to do masking and vaccinations, and if possible, if you social distance, and if you're sick, do your best to stay home. All right. This is why this is important. Okay, so as I said, there's the social distancing, there's the hand hygiene, cough etiquette, masks. Try not to touch your face. You're testing and tracing. So if you think you have symptoms, get tested. We have the home kits now. PCRs, I do both the rapid and PCR. You want to limit the crowds. You want to, especially with the large or dense crowds, we want ventilation. Outdoors is great. Our air filtration is important. Okay, education, as I said, vaccines, quarantine isolation. That's a little bit similar to staying home if you're sick. Okay, those are some of the many tools needed that needs to be done together. All right, in case, especially if you're if you're sick, obviously stay home. So but we're in this together. So far we are not in the worst of it. The worst of it was that big Omicron increase, the original one, which is BA1, during November, December, January. Well, it started late November, and then it hit us big time on December and January, especially January. So I know this is not the worst. Okay, we've seen worse. We've seen that huge increase, but we still need to be safe. All right. So again, it's not going to be this surge is not going to be as bad. All right. I'm also having COVID fatigue as well. I get it. It's important to be safe and to take care of each other, and also take care of yourself as well. And I just wanted to say that it's not about you. It's about us, all of us. And no, there is nothing communistic or socialistic about, or it's not about socialism or communism or whatever this is. Okay, it's about everyone. It's about the public good. So if you're sick and you're not, if you're going about your life and whatnot, and you're going into crowds, that's not a smart way to go about it. Okay, especially if you're not wearing a mask and you're going coughing, sneezing. May not be COVID that you could you know, it's not just COVID that you may be worried about. I just found out I've one of my patients got the flu. Okay, again, flu also kills people as well, so it's nothing to sneeze at, and no pun intended in this case. All right, so this is very, very important, and I can't emphasize this enough. All right. Okay. So quickly, we're gonna do the subways. I know it's usually I this is this for the weekday subways. Like you be asking yourself, why would you do this? It's already late. The information's already posted on Instagram, so it's in my highlights for called Rail Life NYC Part Two. You just have to go through it and all that. Okay, but I will make this quick, so don't no worries. And if I can find it, boom, 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 boom. Let me do this, and then just putting all the information in. So let's see here. We're gonna go into nighttime as well. I'm just opening it up. And then what? Okay, so just getting ready. All right. Oh, you probably saw it. Oops. Anyway, so we're actually gonna switch to daytime. My apologies. So, okay. They didn't give me a date yet on when the 2 and 3 trains will resume stopping at Clark Street. So, but I'll monitor that. Don't worry. But for now, it still skips Clark Street. Who knows? Maybe it'll open April 30th. Not sure. So this is ongoing. Okay. Also ongoing. This is during the midday. So Northbound 4 skips Marshalloo Parkway. The next one is some of the Northbound 4 trains will be expressed between 167th Street and Burnside, and it's actually that's the last stop before it goes back to Manhattan. On the nighttime, oops. Okay, so path trains still close at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. at 9th Street and 23rd Street for station maintenance. The next thing is that at late nights, there's no R trains. So right now there is at 12:52 a.m. So April 20th, 2022, no R trains. 11:45 p.m. to 5 a.m. So bus will run between 59th Street and 95th Street, and then you would have to use the N trains or the R train or the Q train, of course. Okay. Next thing is that this is usually only Tuesday to Friday during the daytime, midday. So southbound N trains will be expressed between Astoria Boulevard and Queensboro Plaza. And no W trains in Astoria, so W train will be running between 96th Street, 2nd Avenue, and Whitehall Street. Okay, those are your ongoing for the daytime. So actually, this is only for the 19th, 20th, and the 22nd. All right, so 21st, the 7 train is going to run normally, but this is during 10, it's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, so April 19, 2022. So eastbound 7 train is expressed between 74th Street and Metz Willets Point. It will stop at Junction Boulevard. That's the express stop. So that's for those 3 days. This week, for the nighttime, so the 1, 2, and 3 trains southbound 1, 2, and 3 trains is local between 42nd Street and Chambers. In the MTA website, it will say between 34th Street and Chambers. The reason why I say 42nd simply because on 34th Street, just know that the southbound one, all trains will be on the 1 train track on the local southbound platform. So northbound A train is local between Canal Street and 59th Street. Next thing is westbound A and C is local between Utica and Hoyt, but eastbound is express between Utica and Euclid. It stops at Broadway Junction, of course. Also in the Bronx, northbound D train. This is still going on. Northbound D trains express between 145th Street and Tremont. The next thing is that there is no A trains between Rockaway Boulevard and my station, JFK, so you have to take a bus. The other thing is the L train gets a little wonky, so there's no L train between Lorimer and 8th Avenue 14th Street. There is a bus that goes in the loop, and it stops at Lorimer Metropolitan. This is the G&L trains, Bedford, Broadway, Hughes Street, and Marcy Avenue. So it'll go around in a loop. Kind of reminds me of when the L train, it was that like with the L train project, it was almost a shutdown. The next thing is, these are the buses. This bus will connect here. On the Manhattan side, the M14 select bus services will take over the L in Manhattan, and it runs between 14th Street, 8th Avenue, and makes all stops here, and then it also goes to Delancey, Essex. All right, and that's usually its usual route. All right, and the next one, 4 train splits at 125th Street. I think that's been going on for a while. In addition to that, southbound 4 trains skip 138th Street Grand Concourse. Next one, eastbound E, F, and R trains. Eastbound, so is express between Roosevelt and 71st Avenue. Also, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, F train skips Roosevelt Island. If you want to get there, you will need to take a shuttle bus at 21st Street Queensbridge, and then it'll go over the Roosevelt Island Bridge, and it'll stop there. And next thing I have, if I can find this, I don't know if this is going through, but I think on one of the days, I don't know if it ended already, but there will be times where in some days, maybe it's one day for the week, or it could be the weekends, this comes out of nowhere, and this actually annoys the freak out of me. Is that out of nowhere, sometimes the 7 train will go local between, well, not local, but there will be no 7 train service between Queensboro Plaza and 34th Street Hudson Yards, and then you get a bus between Queensboro Plaza and Vernon Jackson. Then the S train starts running, and then there's a bus that runs between Times Square and 34th Street Hudson Yards. I think it may make a stop at Port Authority Bus Terminal. So this will come out of nowhere. Also, lastly, we're going to talk about Long Island Railroad. I'm going to stick to this subway map because this is Penn Station. This is the Long Island Railroad here. So eastbound Long Island Railroad trains will be running nonstop. It'll be express. Between Penn Station over here, so it'll go nonstop, and Jamaica. So eastbound nonstop. So there's nonstop service. Trains will go nonstop eastbound between Penn Station and Jamaica Station, where you see Suction Boulevard, Archer Avenue, JFK. The exception is the Port Washington branch trains. This is the Port Washington branch here. You'll see it here. And it's going to stop at Woodside. However, the trains, eastbound trains going to Jamaica from Penn Station will skip Woodside. So, and you can use your Long Island Railroad tickets to be cross-honored, and it'll be cross-honored at Penn Station. You just show your ticket. Woodside, Forest Hills, and Kew Gardens. These are actually walking distance, not too far. Okay, so thank you so much for joining the stream. I'm going to see who I can raid, actually. Let's see. Thank you, Nikki, for stopping by. I appreciate it. I know it's usually I don't do Monday or Tuesday unexpected streams, but you know, this had to be done. In the beginning, I really wanted to do a stream last night, but again, I got tired, and I really wanted to collect the information, see what's going on. So, if I were to do the updates last night, it wouldn't be complete. At least I got some updates today. Because yesterday I would have said New Jersey Transit would have still required masks, but now, thank you so much for the feedback. That's why I need you as a mod. But see, look, I did it today. I got as much updates as I can. Anything can change. Right now, I am looking for who can I. Oh, you know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna actually raid missing Shelby. Yes, one of my mods.
Damn it! I knew I got the box.
Oh shoot! I am sorry. So anyway, so here it is. I'm gonna raid. Here we go. Okay. Right. Beautiful. Oh, I don't know what game it is, but anyway, I heard Shelby's, do has a new thing actually has a new setup now, so I like it. But also, I will see you this Friday when I do the subway updates and the COVID updates and the whatnot. And also, in the words of DJ Nicky Zem, doesn't matter what time of day it is, even when the cases are high or low or whatnot, always stay healthy and safe. All right. And as Lester Holt have said, please take care of yourself and each other. I will see you then on the next stream. Bye bye.